Alright, Schlockmeister fans, we're going to watch Private Parts, but not the Howard Stern version. Let's check it out. This is Cheryl. She's spying on her roommates doing it.
Cheryl, you Hey, take it easy. I told her if I ever caught her peeping at me again, well, maybe that's how she gets her jolly. This is my room too. You're always in. Baby,
Cheryl decides she's had enough of Judy and her ways, so she decides to leave. She also took Judy's wallet. She seeks out her Aunt Martha, who runs this kind of flophouse hotel.
You mean Mrs. Atwood? I'm Mrs. Atwood.
Then you must be my Aunt Martha. I'm Cheryl Stratton from Cleveland, Ohio.
Got any money?
She agrees to let her stay for a few days.
But I can help out.
You can stay in this room for a couple of days. It's nothing fancy, but I guess you'll be all right.
This hotel has an odd assortment of characters in it. Now there's one less. Cheryl hears some footsteps at night, and she thinks that somebody's perhaps spying on her.
Aunt Martha?
One day she comes back to her room and she finds this thing that says "Desire in the Shadows." It's like a dirty manuscript of some sort. And then she finds a note. It's a little creepy.
Of course not. Why should I? I'll stay in here and lock the door if that'll make you feel better.
Yes. Lock the door.
This is Aunt Martha's pet mouse. Was. At one point she snuck in somebody else's room. A lot of religious stuff there. And some dirty pictures. She comes back to her room and finds another note. Wear this for me. It's a sexy outfit. She's helping change sheets, and she goes into this room. There's a photographer named George in there, and that's a weird sort of sex doll or something. She was poking around a little bit when all of a sudden she heard someone coming, and that was George. Judy comes by looking for Cheryl.
Cheryl may have mentioned me. She and I came out here together. She used to talk about her swell Aunt Martha, who had this terrific hotel.
She tells Judy that Cheryl's downstairs helping out this photographer. So Judy wanders down there. And this is the last we see of her alive.
Is that you? Cheryl? I guess I am.
She finally meets George.
How do you like it so far?
It's all right. Takes some getting used to, though.
Yes.
Another strange patron.
Alice, is that you, sweetie? What took you so long, Alice? I want you to help me with my hair.
Alice doesn't live here anymore.
Back to George and his sex doll. He's filling it up with water. He has a picture of Cheryl. He's been spying on her. And he's going to attach the picture to the face. This isn't weird.
Lord, look at me. I'm going to pieces. Can't even work anymore.
It's not your fault, George. If I'd known she was going to get you all upset, I'd never let her stay.
You knew. You did it to test me.
No, George. And I'm helping you.
Helping me. You helped ruin my life. You robbed me of a normal childhood, and now you're trying to rob me of whatever little pleasures I can still enjoy.
The sick pleasure, George, is
It's
shameful.
no more shameful than what I do with those dolls.
Another note, you would drive me crazy if you'd let me see you with these on. Now she knows there's a peephole and somebody's spying on her, and she knows it's George. And she doesn't seem to mind. She puts on a little show for him. And then he goes right back to the doll. I don't know what to make of this. He extracts blood from himself with the syringe. And then he takes it and injects it into the doll. Kind of mimicking a sex act to a certain degree.
We could talk, Susie. And you could take my picture. I'd love to pose for you, George, honest. I'd do anything you ask me to.
This kid from My Three Sons says he knew somebody in that building who disappeared.
Just went away one day. Moved out without leaving an address or anything.
What's her name? Alice?
Right. Alice Rogers.
Alice, let me. Don't do that, Alice, please. I will hurt you.
I think we know what happened to Alice. He has a tape recording of what happened.
What do you want? How would you like to tell me what happened to Alice Rogers?
I guess not. Anyway, he takes some pictures of her, and then things got out of control and he got a little aggressive.
Are you hurt, Diane? What did she do to you?
I didn't know.
I can't show you, but he has tits. He's a she.
No.
You can take his place. You can stay here and be my son.
Your son?
Yes, you could have this room. No, I suppose it wouldn't work. Or the girl friend either.
She's got a big machete there.
No, leave him, Mother, no!
Don't struggle, child. You only prolong your trouble.
The kid's father brought the police here, and they find him alive.
All right, are you all right?
Thank God. It's you.
Jeff, what happened?
And they find Judy's body.
That's George's room.
We're gonna pay a little call on George.
Oh, I wouldn't disturb George at this hour. He's probably still jerking off.
Him. Look at the jugs on this guy.
Boy, oh boy. With knockers like that, I could go for this guy myself. Wow. World's oldest go-go dancer.
Jeez, Jeff, is that your girl?
It's Mrs. Atwood, Cheryl's aunt. What an outfit.
The final scene in the movie shows Cheryl has become Aunt Martha.
There's a place down the block you might try. Perhaps there. This is one of the last respectable hotels in the city, you know. I would have to be
Extremely selective about our clientele.
Wow, what a crazy ass picture that was. Now, I had seen this movie once before. I have a pre-recorded VHS of it that I got probably around 1990 or so, a long time ago, 30 years ago. And my Schlockmeister brother Jeff and I watched this movie. And I remember we really enjoyed it. And I've touted it ever since, although I've never watched it since. And I didn't remember anything about it other than the fact that there was a doll that something got injected into. That's all I remembered about this movie. It was directed by Paul Bartel, actually, and he did a fantastic job with this. The hotel that this girl, Cheryl, goes to with her Aunt Martha runs, it's kind of like a flop house. I think it's in San Francisco, actually. And every character we see in this hotel is just weird. I mean, first of all, the opening scene, we see a opening scene in the hotel. We see a guy get his head chopped off. There's that weird old lady who's tanning or something, and she mentions that George is jerking off, which was funny. There's this drunk guy who I didn't show you, and of course there's George the photographer, and then there's this crazy reverend named Reverend Moon who has all these homoerotic pictures of guys and stuff. It's just a weird assortment who are in this building. Aunt Martha's weird too. She's very straight-laced, but she agrees to let Cheryl stay there for a while. Cheryl is being spied on by George. And she meets George, and she comes to like him a little bit. She knows he's a photographer, and she also knows there's a peephole in her. And she keeps getting these notes, which she assumes is from George, and it is, saying, "Try this on. I want to see you in this. I want to see you in that. Here's a book for you. Read this." And she decides to put on a show, knowing that he's watching. She puts on a little peep show for him. She takes a bath and kind of shows off a bit. And then when George is done watching, he goes back into his room and makes out with this. I guess it's a sex doll of some sort. It's this inflatable doll that he puts water in. He has a picture of Cheryl. He cuts out the face, puts it on there, and then he's like making out with it. And then instead of like an ejaculation, he takes a syringe, pulls blood out of his arm, and then he stabs the doll and injects the blood into it. Very strange scene. Very strange. Anyway, Martha had told Cheryl earlier that she had a child or something. That something happened to it. I don't know. We don't know what happened to the child, but we're going to find out later on that Martha actually is George's mother. Now, Cheryl goes to pose for him, and he gets a little aggressive, and she ends up knocking like this big light on him, which apparently killed him. Martha comes running in, and she's like, "He was going to rape me. He was going to rape me." And she's like, "He can't rape anybody." And then she opens up his shirt, and she has breasts. He has breasts. Turns out George is a she, and it's her daughter. And I guess she wanted a son, so she raised him as a son. He's dead now. She's dead, whatever. And then she says to Cheryl, "You can be my new son." And then she's like, "You know, that probably wouldn't work out because I can't trust you. I don't know what you would do." Then she pulls out this giant knife from her chest and chases after her, and then cuts away. We don't know what happens next. But then later on, some cops show up. This boy who was Chip, I think, on My Three Sons, he's rescued. He's alive. They run into the room. They find the dead George, but the top's open a little bit. I couldn't show you the boobs. But the top is open, and the cop even says, "Look at the jugs on this one. With knockers like that, I could go for him." Quite a cop. And then they find Aunt Martha with a giant knife in her, so clearly Cheryl got her. And then as they're leaving, Cheryl comes down the stairs in the role of Aunt Martha, talking about how this is the nicest hotel left and that sort of thing. So she's fulfilling the role of dead Aunt Martha. Very strange. So anyway, that is Private Parts. Quite a film, quite a film. I have a list of movies that I try to watch once a year. I have another list that I try to watch every 2 years, and ones that I watch every 3 years. This movie is definitely going to make that list. Probably the every 3-year one. It's just a weird, funky movie, but it's really, really cool. I don't believe it's on Blu-ray. I think this DVD is the only way to get it, and I can tell you this DVD right now is pretty cheap. You can get this for less than $10 or so. Warner Brothers put this out. It's a fantastic weird film, though. This is one that I highly, highly recommend. You should buy this movie. Click that link on Amazon down below. Buy it for yourself. Watch this movie. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. A little bit of nudity. Just quirky and strange, but great, great film. Underrated and probably underappreciated and a little bit unknown. But I'm telling you, it shouldn't be. Watch this movie. Find it. It's great. You will enjoy it immensely. Can't recommend it higher. Check it out. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think about Private Parts. By the way, the Private Parts movie with Howard Stern, 1997, also a great film. Totally different. But this one's really cool too. Check it out. Leave some comments. Bye.